Alright, so if you're taking enterprise computing and you feel like the content is just a lot, like slides and slides, buzzwords everywhere, systems talking to systems, well then this video is for you. Because in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how I study enterprise computing, step by step, week by week, in a way that actually works. No last minute cramming, no rereading slides for hours, and no pretending you understand OSI layers when you really don't. So let's get into it. Step 1. Get all the content first. Before you even think about studying, the first rule is simple. Collect everything. This means all your lectures, PowerPoints, tutorial slides, lecture recordings, and anything else if you have them, any sample questions or practice exams. The reason this matters is simple. You don't want to be halfway through studying and suddenly realize there's another slide deck you missed. Enterprise computing builds on itself. Concepts from week 1 come back in week 6, week 10 and in the exam. So you want the full picture from the start. And once everything is downloaded and organized by week or PowerPoint, then you start studying. But before we upgrade our notes, there's one important step we have to do. Step 2. Use the syllabus properly. Before you even go into your notes, you should check the syllabus, and this part is way more important than people will think. The syllabus isn't just a formality. It literally tells you what you're expected to know, explain and apply in assessments and exams. So here's what you do at this stage. Make sure you have a read of all the points, whether you're taking the preliminary or HSC course. All the points will match up with your content and it's an essential tool to begin your studying. So once you've properly prepared yourself, put the syllabus aside for later study. Step 3. Make notes, then make even better notes. Don't overthink this. The first time you do this, you'll feel as if you're not doing enough, but trust me, just go through it. Firstly, go to all your PowerPoints. From each slide, write simple notes in your own words. This is essentially important as it boosts your understanding. Focus on definitions, diagrams, processes such as how systems interact with each other, anything that sounds exam worthy. After this, summary notes. What are summary notes? Summary notes are shorter, cleaner, and max 1 or 2 pages per PowerPoint. These are compressed notes for revision and study to ensure that your understanding is maximized. If you can't summarize a slide into 2 or 3 bullet points, that's your signal to slow down. Turn key ideas into questions. This is the step that actually makes things stick, but you don't turn everything into a question. So here's a golden rule to follow. Only turn examinable ideas into questions. That means headings, definitions, comparisons, processes, diagrams, why and how explanations. Because you don't need questions for examples that are already obvious, such as long case studies or repeated or filler slides. And where can you find all this? In the syllabus. So, how do I do it in practice? For each PowerPoint, I split the content up into around 6 to 8 sections. And when writing questions, I ask, if this came up in an exam, what would they actually ask me? From here, I write 5 to 10 solid questions per section, not 30 tiny ones. For example, why do organizations use distributed systems? Or, how does a client-server system work? Or, explain this diagram in words. Each question should test understanding and not memorization, be answerable in a short paragraph, and match syllabus language wherever possible. These always boost marks. Once all the content is split into sections, this ensures that I can revise later, knowing exactly which topics I'm weak on, and ensuring that I can review one section without redoing the whole subject. If you can confidently answer all your questions out loud or on paper, handwritten, you probably have a decent understanding of the topic. If not, that's where your study time goes. So here's how to structure your studying each week to maximize retention for all the content. Now we actually study. Week 1, PowerPoint 1. For the first week, I'm only working through PowerPoint 1 section per day. I'm not trying to rush or get ahead because consistency matters way more than speed. The golden rule to follow is to keep everything handwritten and to make sure to not look at your notes. Here's how to do it exactly in the most simplified version possible. First, obviously, read the question, then write the answer completely from memory. Even if you're not sure, make sure to still write something. Struggling to remember is a part of learning. If an answer feels shaky, I might mark it with a star or question mark before moving on. I don't stop to check my notes right away or search it up. After you finish the section, this is when you go back to your notes. This is where you fix your mistakes and, if needed, rewrite a clean, perfect version of the answer. What I did was asking AI to write sample responses for each of the questions in order to give me a model answer of what mine should look like eventually. And yeah, it does feel slower than passive study, but it's definitely uncomfortable at first. But that discomfort is the point where learning actually happens. Week 2, PowerPoint 2. Week 2 follows almost the exact same structure as week 1. I'm still doing one section a day, and I'm still relying on handwritten active recall rather than rereading or highlighting. The difference is before you start each new section, you should take a few minutes to review the questions you flagged from week 1. The ones you struggled with, not everything. What I do is answer them, specifically handwrite them again from memory just to see what stuck and didn't. For the questions that are flagged which I know now, I'll mark them orange to know that they've been flagged before but I know them now. And the ones that are still not in my brain, well, I'll keep them highlighted red. This part is especially important because it keeps what's probably disappeared after 1 week in your brain. Instead of constantly relearning the same things, I'm reinforcing the weak spots as you go. So, same workload, same process, just smarter repetition. From week 3 onwards, the system essentially stays the same. Each day, I work through new PowerPoint sections the same way I did before, using handwritten active recall method. Before starting, again, I'll quickly review the flagged questions from previous weeks, again the only ones that gave me my trouble. What I did was once week 2 reviewed section 1 of week 1, week 3 will review section 2, and week 4 will go back to section 1 and 2. This will continue in order to continue spaced repetition. Over time, this creates built-in repetition. I'm constantly revisiting old content in small amounts, so nothing piles up and nothing feels overwhelming. At the point, studying stops becoming stressful and starts feeling automatic. So to keep moving on, how much exactly should you do every day? Well, at the beginning, we stick to 1 section per day. As the material begins to feel more familiar, such as after 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I will slowly increase the workload. Maybe 2 sections, and on lighter days, even 3. Here's the rule that matters most. If you finish a section and you feel like you didn't do enough, stop anyway. You've probably done enough. Enterprise computing is mentally heavy, and forcing extra volume when your brain might be already tired is just sloppy thinking. Instead of grinding, focus on showing up every day. This is straight out of the famous book Atomic Habits. Make the habits so manageable that it's almost impossible to skip. 1 good focused session done consistently beats long, exhausting study days that burn you out. Try not to miss a day. Be that person that shows up every day to finish your study. And even if you miss 1 day, don't be the person that misses 2 days. Get right back on track. Don't let it build up. A few weeks out before the exam, it's time to lock in. This is where you should move from just learning the individual sections and start mastering the exam itself. Stop writing short, memory-based fragments and start drafting proper, full-length responses. This is the point where you should bring the syllabus back out. It's no longer just a guide, it's my final checklist. What to do? What I did was go through every single point and make sure that you can explain the why and the how behind them with any help. So all the syllabus dot points listed by Nesa, ensure that you can explain it from memory. If I hit a dot point and I can't clearly articulate myself out loud, I know exactly where my revision needs to go this afternoon. I also will start fine-tuning my answers using those specific Nesa keywords. Make sure to look at the Nesa Glossary, linked down below. In enterprise computing, the way you start your sentence matters. If the syllabus asks you to evaluate, I'm not just describing anymore, I'm making sure my answer includes a judgment. I practice matching my writing style to the verb in the question so that we speak the same language as the markers. And so by the time the exam actually rolls around, you've already written those responses a dozen times and you can just apply it to the scenarios. I'm not guessing what the question wants. I'm just following the syllabus map I've been building for weeks. And this is how you bridge the gap between knowing the content and actually getting those marks. To make sure I actually survive these sessions without burning out, here are some study tips which can help you for the long term. First of all, I rely on the Pomodoro style strategy. Usually this means 25 to 30 minutes of focused study with a 5-minute break. Or if I'm really in the zone, I'll push for 40 minutes to an hour with a 10-minute break. But the timer, that's only half the battle. To really make this work, you need to have a few hard rules for your environment. First, your phone isn't just on silent, it's in a completely other room. And even if you can, place it downstairs. If you can see it, part of your brain is waiting for it to light up that dopamine hit and it will kill your focus. I also make sure I'm never studying on my bed. Your brain needs a physical work mode trigger, and I always use a desk with decent lighting. It sounds small, but it stops that mid-afternoon slouch into a nap. And if you can, try to study in a different room, where in that room you only study and in your main bedroom, that's where you relax. This allows your brain to develop a shift in mindset when entering that room, knowing this is the time to study. During the study block, there's no multitasking. It's one PowerPoint or one set of questions until the timer goes off. You don't go on YouTube or play a game. You focus, and only in the 5-minute break, that's when you stop. I also like to use the same background music every time, usually lo-fi or brown noise. That really works. It's like a Pavlovian response, As soon as that specific sound starts, my brain knows it's time for study and nothing else. And so, what do you do when the break finally hits? Get up. You stretch, grab some water, or even just look out the window for a minute. The biggest mistake you can make is spending your break scrolling through TikTok. Well, that's where your phone is downstairs. Your brain doesn't actually recover if you're still processing fast-paced content. You just get tired. And also, if I'm halfway through a session and I'm just completely hitting a wall, I stop. A clean, hyper-focused 25 minutes is always going to be more valuable than spending 2 hours and days pretending to work, like rereading or merging. Consistency is built on knowing when you've done enough for the day. Let's rewind a little. Here's a little something to do at the end of each PowerPoint. For me, typically I do this on a Sunday, which is when most of the time I finish one PowerPoint and I can make a mind map. So here's what I did. Let's take my first PowerPoint. In the middle goes the title before branching out into the 6 to 8 main topics. From there I split into only the key words before branching into smaller, more fine details. What I do from here is visualize the connections between different topics, and from there each keyword should spark a response. You should be able to look at the word and immediately your brain should scream this or that. For example, interval data. You should immediately scream arbitrary 0 quantitative numbers. Don't spend too long making it pretty either. Doesn't matter what color, what shape, just make sure you get the stuff down on the page and stop procrastinating. For the longest time in my studying, I've been using a secret weapon. Anki. Well, maybe it's not so secret. But now, a lot of people mess up by trying to fit every single slide into a flashcard, but that's the fastest way to burn out and completely incorrect on how to study. The rule is that not everything goes into Anki. I only use it for the crunchy details, things like specific definitions, comparisons between different architectures, or lists of advantages and disadvantages. Just the perfect place to put anything you find yourself constantly forgetting during your active recall sessions. When I'm making the cards, I like to keep them as simple as possible. It's always one clear question and one clear answer. If the card is too long or too wordy, you stop doing it. The goal is to be able to flip through your deck quickly, not dread to answer the long questions. And the real power of Anki comes from doing it every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes while you're on the bus or waiting for a coffee. It handles the spaced repetition for you, so your brain doesn't have to stress when to review. And at the end of the day, the reason this system works so well is that it forces you out of that passive reading trap. You aren't just staring at slides hoping the information sinks in. You're constantly testing yourself and revisiting that content at the exact moment your brain needs to see it again. By focusing on the syllabus combined with those active recall questions, you're building a deeper understanding of the material rather than just memorizing a bunch of buzzwords. Ultimately, enterprise computing isn't about how many hours you spend at your desk, nor is any other subject. It's about the quality of those hours, and it's about studying smarter, not longer. And so if this video helped you wrap your head around a better way to study, I'd really appreciate if you would drop a like and subscribe. And if you want me to do a deeper dive into how to write high scoring exam responses using all the Nesa keywords, or study tips for any other subjects, feel free to let me know in the comments below. So good luck with your study sessions, keep consistent, and go study smart.